Yeah. Right. So we should be going live now. And we're live. Are we live yet? I do miss the dulcet tones of Vinny, don't you?
No, fuck him.
everybody's
Use,
everybody's favourite little
useless fucking bastard.
everybody's favourite sped. Are we live yet? Are we live?
Oh dear. Yeah, if you're listening to this, Vin, you deserve every fucking moment of it.
Right. So everybody should be able to. I've already got our guest enemy is late. Cheers. Thanks, OG. So we are actually live now. If you want to do some programming, lads.
Oh wow.
We had a
Do we,
great
do
chat.
we
We had a
actually-
great chat in prep. I'll start the show and everybody shuts up. Thanks, lads.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm just being polite because every fucking time we do this, you're just like, "Oh, Capstan, stop mic cucking me." Oh, fucking hell. I'm like, "All right, we'll be polite and let him do the intro." And now he's complaining that we're all quiet. Fucking hell, Mosley, just jump in. Fuck him up. He deserves every minute.
You can't beat the school of audio, can you?
Mate, there's nothing. Hey, there we go. There's nothing like it, is there? It said you've done it once. It's like an addiction.
I was quite happy last week just to sit there and listen. I was tired and I was thinking, well, I'm just going to sit here, have a cup of tea, and listen to everyone else go at it this week. So this week's a bit different.
Oh, for some reason.
Hey, he's joined the chat.
Godzone's in.
You alright, fellas?
Hey, Flash is here as well.
Good lad.
We're live, Flash. Don't say fuck all, bugger.
Yeah.
Because the children are watching YouTube now, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I forgot we're not past watershed. Fuck. Yeah, that's probably a bit dangerous.
No, I was saying it's like when you start a stream now, you got to answer about 15 questions about whether it's for kids or not. I think they're trying to steal the pedos towards the they want to make it easier for pedos to find the kids. I think
It's bizarre. It's some American law, isn't it? That Google got fined like $140 million for. They didn't do something they should have done, and yeah. So a law in America affects the whole planet.
Yeah, and yet it isn't the Second Amendment.
I was gonna say, except for free speech, that's one American law that doesn't go anywhere else. Well, it doesn't even go in America, does it?
Yeah, I was about to say it doesn't even leave fucking the White House. That one. It said the First Amendment. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's absolutely fine. I can say whatever I want. Okay, could you advocate the boycott of Israel? What are you trying to do? Kill me? Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Just don't talk about the cookies. No one bake any cookies.
Oh mate, that's a very nice cake.
I
Would you be able to put something on top of it for me?
I did manage to fuck up. I left the 14 words wallpaper up. I've got the audio. So I managed to fuck something up.
I think you did that last week as well.
Yeah, I think I did.
Right. So now that we've fucked about for a bit, should we do a bit? Should we give them a quick rundown of sort of the verbal contents page about what we're up to today, lads?
Go on,
Yep,
Cap.
go on
in, Capgun.
Right. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a bit of a show for you this evening on stuff. We've got our usual boomer tech difficulties happening in the start. Someone's late. Someone hasn't shown up. Someone's flaked. We've got 11 entire people that have tuned in for this utter shit show. We've got a few articles, a load of shit to get off our chest, and we're going to cuck 8-bit live on camera like a fucking gang rape mic cuck here. That you're absolutely going to tune in, and I don't know if Flash has got anything that he wants to mention as well, but I'm sure we've got quite the lineup. Back to you, Hemi.
Yeah, some people are saying they can't share it. YouTube must be fucking with me.
Can't they just copy and paste the title with the words YouTube search this?
Yeah,
or something.
Well, I'm sure they did a big update the other day, didn't they?
All right.
They like a big update, don't they? So I've called the show "Problematic Desserts." Did we want to go straight in with this one? Did we?
The beauty of the Weatherspoons app.
Have you seen this one?
You
Flash?
really shouldn't, but
Sorry, say that again.
Have you seen this story, Flash? If you look in potential stories,
Yeah.
Black man 24 is victim of racist abuse when a Weatherspoons customer used company's app to send a banana to his table.
Oh God. It's more of that mainstream media Weatherspoons bashing, isn't it? They've been having a go at Weatherspoons quite a lot, haven't they?
Have they? It's mainly because of Tim, isn't it? And it's partially because of Britain's foremost right-wing magazine, The Spoons Times, isn't it?
I think that with respect, there is more to this than meets the eye, lads. I'm just saying, if you think about Weatherspoons, what does it allow? It allows working class people, students, and other people who are on low to medium socioeconomic status, right? Basically pay prices for beer that were the same in probably 2003, 2002, meaning that what it actually allows people to do is go to the pub more, which means they get out of the house more, converse with other people, and essentially try and build back a little bit of community that they didn't have prior to that.
I agree with that, yeah.
And I think that they hate it because one of the reasons that they killed community was the smoking ban and 24-hour licensing for supermarkets. So what that means is that it chucked a load of people out of the pub, which means people didn't want to go there as much. They upped the price on beer to the point where about a third of a pint now is tax. And then they went and reduced that price in the supermarkets, encouraging you to drink at home by yourself and not do anything.
Well,
that's what they want, isn't it?
You know,
not only that, Tim's smashing Brexit myths as well, isn't he? So it's like so he's saying if we get Brexit, I'll drop did he say I'll drop prices by a third or something?
Yeah, he's literally in celebration of Brexit. He's already taken 20 pence off every pint in Spoons. So it means a pint of Ruddles now is, I think, in many places like £1.59, something ridiculous. And like I said, I love him just for that. Really, I think Tim should be the Prime Minister.
To be honest, I agree with it. They want people in their homes because they know then when people are, they can control people. They don't want people socializing because then that can, people can then start to talk about things together face to face, and I think that causes
encourages that wrong thinking, it? That's why they don't like it.
Yeah, pretty much. They want people in their boxes where they can be, control them, watch them, and have control of their lives, and that's pretty much what the smoking ban was about. Like Capstan said.
Well, my theory on how they atomized us, and this is one that I've kind of like built up myself. Is like stage one was stopping people going to church, stopping them gathering in church, and then they can't have a chat afterwards, can they? And then stage two was smashing the pubs, wasn't it? This was how they atomized us, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It's a social thing. Church was a cornerstone of a community. The pub was a cornerstone of the community. So, look at the high street now disappearing, especially like a real local small village. I mean, the shops have disappeared because they can't compete with the supermarkets like the butcher and the baker. People used to go there, and now people order stuff online. So yeah, you're taking away this interaction between people, and we all know it's it's engineered, but
also people are watching tailored news feeds as well, aren't they? So everything's individualized, isn't it? So it carries on even when you're at home. That's what I say. They aren't finished with you just because you've shut the front door.
No, exactly.
Oh, that's sinister. But at the same time, it's when you think about the deliberate attempt by corporations and government that you don't get any amount of familiarization. For example, when you went out back in the day, the milkman was going to be the same bloke. The postman was going to be the same bloke.
Yeah, but
nowadays
that was a double-edged sword because half the time he was usually banging your missus, weren't he?
Well, yeah, but at the same time, we've got to build community somehow. We've got to get those birth rates up, lads. And if you're not doing your part, then the postie's just going to have to give us something to hang our towels on. Right? We know this is true. But it comes to the point where now that apparently under the guise of reducing accidents. They don't want you to be complacent at work anymore. And I know several people that work at depots where they are home delivery drivers for either food or post or parcels or whatever, who say that they're given a different route to do every day and that the routes are randomized so that they don't know who's on what route in order to force you out of a sense of complacency. So you have to treat every route as if it's different and new. So you have to essentially regard it as in a bit more how would you say it? As if it were brand new to you. So so that you don't become familiarized, that it's always something different. So it means even your deliverymen who bring you the shit from the Amazon depot or wherever are going to be different every time. So you can't even get personable with them.
Well, that's kind of the. I'd imagine the other section of this is that they just don't want you thinking that job is yours. You know, they don't want you bringing any kind of customer service whatsoever.
I think social interaction's gone out the window. I mean, the smartphone was obviously a great engineering piece from them as well.
Oh
'Cause
God!
you've only got to go out onto like a train or a bus, or even just generally when I'm out walking the dog or something. People are just transfixed on their phones instead of interacting with the world around them. I mean, the amount of times I've seen people almost get run over because they're playing with their phones while crossing a busy junction.
I've seen like compilations and stuff on YouTube of things like that. People like fail compilations because they were looking down on their phone and stuff. You see them like tripping over steps and curbs and what have you.
Yeah, because they're so so what's the word? They can't escape their phone because obviously it's their
It's like
world.
they're addicted to their phone, innit? Kind of.
Is that does that come into like almost like subliminal messaging in apps and social media? I don't know. It was definitely used years ago.
I think it's because they want to put yet another barrier between you and the real world. They want your interactions moderated through essentially a corporate entity or a government entity. You know, it's the fact is instead of just being able to go to a bar and talk to a bird and say hello, now you've got to go on an application.
Yeah.
You know, the people that they show you on the application are completely down to the algorithm, which is programmable by the company.
Uh-huh.
Well,
You know,
they're talking about
you know.
messing with that, aren't they? Because of the because kind of black
Oh,
women generally lose out in the internet dating, don't they?
Oh well, never mind.
Yeah,
but
to us it's never mind. To them, it's a disaster.
But like Capstan said, like he just said, you know, their interactions. Well, when you're interacting on your phone or your tablet or your laptop, they know what your interactions are because they're basically spying on you all the time with all this software. So interactions now are being like under the microscope. Whereas if you go down the pub and have a chat with your mate about, I don't know, that politics or the weather or whatever else, they can't monitor that. They can't get their head around not being able to control what you're doing at a given time.
Well, even if you did have a phone app that could record you, it'd be very difficult in a busy pub, wouldn't it? Because of all the external noise. Because that's the kind of thing that the mob used to. I mean, are we going to have to have any kind of privacy? Are we going to have to start being like the mob? You know, where your phone's in another room and you only meet in very public, noisy places and things like that.
Is that like in Casino when they're spying on Joe Pesci?
Yeah.
And they get and they use like lip readers, don't they? So he's always talking with his hand covering his face. Yeah. We're gonna have to walk around like that.
So literally, are you saying that the only way that we're gonna have a bit of privacy is if we literally go to the loudest fucking club in town and we all wear siege masks so they can't see what we're talking about?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like fucking, you know, dancing with all these black women to make it look like we're not racist, as well as having to have an in-depth conversation about philosophy when you're twerking with Shaniqua somewhere in West London. Is that how far we've fallen, lads? Is that where we are?
And we've also got to come up with some kind of weird sign language that we have to keep changing every 3 weeks so they don't.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not the security service we've got to fool. It's fucking Google and Alexa. That's the weirdest thing about it, isn't it?
Yeah. It's we're not fighting hope, not hate. We're literally we're fighting Google's autocomplete.
Alexa, please listen to my conversation.
Yeah.
dear.
Mhm.
So,
Do any of you have that in the house?
What's
No,
that?
absolutely not.
No. I mean, my phone's bad enough. I'm sure my phone listens in because I talk about something and the next minute I'm seeing it on my phone in adverts.
Yes,
Yeah,
I've had
I get
that,
that and all.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Like I talk
Yeah.
about, like a football team or a book or something, and then I'm like, I was just talking about that. But I had a conversation with somebody about the Alexa and whatever else, Google's thingy, Google Mini or whatever it's called. And they said I was a bit of a nut job for saying that they listen to your conversation.
Oh yeah, this machine that's got like a microphone that's always on that can actually interpret and analyze your voice and give you a request. That's also hooked up to a world wide web full of computers and complex algorithms that can analyze everything from your speech patterns and tell even if you're sober by the very parlance and intonation in your voice. Yeah. What do you mean you want to turn that off? What the fuck are you, paranoid? What fucking yeah.
Can I invite
Oh
you around,
God, I
Captain?
hate people.
Can I invite you around, Captain? You can argue with this person because that was a better argument than I came up with. But
No,
that's
that's
Yeah,
fine.
but,
You
the
just
thing is, though,
fucking,
they're not spying at you, spying on you because they want to dob you in. They're purely spying on you just because they want to sell you plastic shit from China. That's all it is. That's all it's about. It's like how mundane are our supervillains? I mean, can you imagine like a Bond villain that like all he wants to do is listen to people so he can just
It
sell them
reminds me of
plastic
that.
shit from China.
So talking about, you ever seen the film Kingsman by any chance?
Yeah.
afraid not.
The bad guy in that, or the villain, or whatever. His plan is kind of like that. He sells this. He starts selling this mobile phone worldwide, and it like takes control of all the the entire world's population's minds and everything. And it was kind of playing into that whole thing right there.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it's like they
Go
don't
and
want to do
buy-
it for world dominance. They just want to sell you plastic shit from China, don't they?
Yeah.
That's what we need to get our heads around, the mundanity of the people that want to destroy us.
I say it'll only be a matter of time, though. Like I can see, maybe sometime in the future that we'll start getting arrested for what we say in our private conversations because our phones have picked up whatever we've said. Because it's just something that I could foresee happening in the future. It's not happening now, but maybe a few years from now, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it goes
Or
back
we can,
to what you said about-
it'll probably end up that we'll just get dobbed in for not buying enough product. You haven't bought enough product this month.
you haven't bought enough shit.
Oh mate, I was just in response to Flash there, mate. It said, if that's true, I'll see you on D-Wing, mate. Because I'll just accept my fate. I think Apparently they've got curry in prison, which is all right. So I mean, maybe it's not that bad.
Oh,
Britain's national dish.
Britain's national dish, The fucking I think they've got a radio station for prisoners called National Prison Radio or something. Maybe we can do the show on there, and we'll have to call it something like the D-Wing Peace and Love Anti-Hate Collaboration Squad or something, and we can all do a radio show. We talk about, so guys, isn't it so great that Alexa can hear everything we say to keep us on the straight and narrow? Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, it's great.
While we're speaking about curry, did anyone see the Plaid Cymru advert?
no.
With the new Welsh people. Have you not seen this one, Flash?
I haven't. No.
Oh,
No,
she's
I haven't either.
Have you not seen the Neo Shagger before? Oh, it's brilliant.
basically Plaid Cymru have they've done a new. We're the Welsh now with a woman in a hijab. That was the end of last week. She's now been suspended for anti-Semitic tweets.
Was it that party that had the idea of having Wales as the first ever refugee country, where basically they were taking absolutely everybody? Did I read that a few weeks ago?
I mean, the state of their national party. What the actual fuck?
Yeah, but it's almost as bad as the Scottish National Party.
Yeah, it's like they're the most cooked national parties ever. Why didn't the government ever have an idea of doing the same with the BNP, setting up the BNP as a really fucking wet communist organisation?
Yeah.
I think that's because you can't separate that from English nationalists because it's so ingrained. You're not going to do it. Like, for example, with the Irish and with the Welsh and such, like you can basically sell it as, oh, you can be nationalistic to hate the English, but these guys also hate the English and they were done in. So you have to help. So that you have to. They're like you in a way, or something like that.
Does the whole world hate us?
Yeah, but the problem is with the English nationalists, because we literally did everybody in over the course of about 250 years. We had a fight with every nation on the planet. Is that they can't sell the narrative. So what they need to do is they basically need to set it up and knock it down. You know. Yeah,
So her name is Miss Al-Faifi. Is a regular so it says
It's not Daffyd, is it?
yeah.
Yeah, it's not a particularly Welsh name, that one. I don't know. Is that from like some part of Wales that I don't know about?
Yeah, South.
It says Miss Al-Fifi is a regular commentator in the media on issues particularly involving gender and Islam. Several years ago. Oh, she deleted the tweets more than 5 years ago. So they've still got the tweets even though she deleted them. So there you go. What were we saying? So they'll do anything to take you down, even if you're working for one of the most cooked parties in the British Isles. They will still take you down for anti-Semitism.
I've had a whole I don't know about anyone else, but I've had a whole abundance of Labour leaflets come through the door. I've had about 3 or 4, and I've had like one Conservative. I don't know if that's the Labour up in their game. I don't know.
What language were they in
so far? Well, are we going to talk about voting? Has anybody decided which way they're voting yet?
I'm probably going to get some flack, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to debate them, because where I go down to vote, they usually hang out at a given time, like the Lib Dems candidate or Labour or Greens, whoever it is. So
Wait, you should at least spoil your ballot, Mosley.
Yeah, I'm going to go down there. Yeah, I'm going to go down there and try and get in a bit of an argument. That's the plan.
Oh yeah, that's fair enough. I'll give you respect for that. You're gonna go and make a meal out. You're gonna earn my cross on that ballot, you bitch. Answer my questions.
I mean, I always come across as like people say, well, if you don't vote, you don't have a say. But where I live,
that's only boomers and faggots that say that, isn't it?
Yes.
okay, Mr. Dog Boofer. You dog boofing libertarian, you.
Fucking hell, this shit again.
Yeah. So basically, my opinion is you should go down and vote, even if you're going to go and spoil your ballot paper, because otherwise all they'll do is they'll take your vote and they'll say it meant whatever they want it to mean. Whereas if you've gone and at least like said, just, you know, even if you write in there, just get Brexit done or something, like end all immigration, or, you know, do something, because all of those spoiled ballot papers, they have to be noted down, and there are figures somewhere for how ballot papers are spoiled.
Yeah, I'm gonna go down there and spoil the paper. The main reason I want to go down there, I want to engage with these people, because I want to know. I want some answers.
Are you gonna write Mosley on there and then do a box and tick it?
Should I write England lives and marches on?
Yeah.
Put British Union or something.
Yeah.
A Hitler, then write a box.
Well, this is a
Hitler,
problem.
1488 votes or something like that.
If you have to, if there is someone that's actually going to read my spoilt ballot, you might as well write a poem.
Oh yeah.
Right, give it something that they'll remember.
How about a bit of
That's what I mean. Do whatever you want to do, like vote, don't vote, whatever, but at least go down there and spoil your ballot paper. Because on the plus side, you know, someone in bureaucrat gang has got to read it and write down what you've written on there.
Yeah, how about a bit of Kipling, something like that, a bit of because they banned Kipling's poems at some university somewhere last year. So obviously he's a bit of a nationalist in his thinking, and some of his pro-English kind of like the awakening of the Saxon. Is it?
I might do that, but there is another part of me that says what I might just do is take the piss out of the bloke that's having to write this down. What are you doing with your life? When you set out as a child, did you dream that you'd be counting ballot votes? Seriously, like you think you're doing this for democracy, but you're actually just a cog in the machine. You wake up every day, you drink coffee for, you might. He's just this fucking.
I tell you what. Yeah, we should definitely have some good ideas actually to try and how we can fuck our ballot paper.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I might do a join the dots thing in the shape of like perhaps a particular thing.
A particular symbol. A particular symbol.
Yeah. I'll just have
a friendship windmill.
Friendship windmill.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I'll just play a join the dots game, and then it will or I might put Morse code on it. So someone's going to go, what the fuck is that? And then it reads, if you bothered to translate this, can you at least Google the Horton plan or something?
Actually, this is actually I found one from I found an article from 2017. This is quite funny. It's from the Metro, formerly the Sunday Sport. Some of us may turn up at the polling stations today and decide that actually we don't want to choose a political party. However, do you want your vote to count? So what can you do? Well, you could draw a massive penis on the paper instead, as some people will undoubtedly do this polling day. That's because spoiling a ballot is a tradition that has been around for years. Deliberately filling the ballot incorrectly will render it invalid, but the paper will still be counted along with the other votes. The number of spoilt ballots is announced in the election results and are a way of showing up to vote but making your feelings known in a different way.
I'm sure there's been some classics.
Here are some of the inventive ways people have spoilt their ballots in the past. Get artistic. Remember, the only truest anti-establishment vote is a spoilt ballot. Make your feelings clear. So chuffed for Andy Whiteman spoilt my Oh, these are just tweets.
All right.
No, it's
Can you any of you draw? To a decent standard.
If you are going to draw a knob, is it with or without spunk coming out at the end?
It's got to be with spunk.
With spunk. So remember, lads, if you are going to draw a knob, make sure it's with spunk.
Yeah.
How much?
Otherwise, you've wasted your time.
But the problem is, how much pube hair is too much? Is there a balance?
I think you should base it on yourself.
How many spunk splodges is it? I think 3, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the given.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is, what if you said base it on yourself? What if, like me, you've got a very plentiful bush? I mean, you don't want to spend that long in the voting booth, Yeah,
but wouldn't it be funny if you spent ages in the voting booth? Because then people in the room would start to look at you and think, "What the fuck is that guy up
to?" Yeah.
Just see if you can do the Mona Lisa. Just memorise the Mona Lisa and see if you can come out with that while you're in there.
Oh, this is definitely a good topic. I like this.
Because that's the thing. If someone actually has to read it, I'm seeing the spoil your ballot in a whole new light now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm going to go passive aggressive and just go with. And just go with what are you doing with your life, and then just write this fucking. I'll put a PTO at the bottom of the ballot as well, so there's more on the back.
This election's not going to be as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be all right. But yeah, I think I've been persuaded, Gray. I will go and spoil my ballot and write a little poem.
Yeah, there we go. You see, if you are gonna, but say we were to vote, what would your guys' opinions be on voting?
If someone put a gun to my head and said you have to vote for one of these parties,
you can't draw a knob on it.
You can't draw a knob on. not this time anyway. With the current one I've got selected, it'd probably have to be the Tories.
Yeah, I think I'm swaying Tories because I can't vote Brexit Party.
No,
I want the Brexit Party gone, and then they're a sideshow that doesn't need to carry on. Oh, by the way, I did find the latest tweet from Britain Elects. This is apparently the Westminster voting intention. It's the Conservatives are on 45%, Labour on 25%, Lib Dems are on 16%, Green are on 3%, and Brexit Party are on 2%. So it looks like Brexit Party are really fucking slumping in the polls.
Didn't they withdraw like quite a large
Yeah,
amount of candidates.
have they
How
refused to
many
go
was it?
against? They've refused to go against incumbent Tories or something, haven't they?
Yeah, where the Tories won previously, like in the last election, they're not going to challenge it, but they're going to challenge seats. It's close between the Liberal Democrats and Labour. So
I'm looking forward to the Lib Dems crying because any most of those Lib Dem MPs are going to get wiped out, aren't they? Because most of them most of them were Tories, weren't they?
wouldn't you enjoy if a Liberal Democrat knocked your door? One of the candidates, I think I'd relish that almost as much as a Labour candidate. I
Oh,
think that'd be brilliant.
I don't know if this is doxing myself, but my next door neighbours are Lib Dem voters, and they've got a sign up in their garden, and it's like taking every fibre of my being not to fucking rip it off and punt it.
Why don't you just grab it and make a run for it?
Mate, why don't you just take your advice out of your own book and spoil their sign? Why don't you just draw a cock on it or something?
Yeah.
Get a Sharpie. Just turn it in. So instead of it saying Lib Dem, just cross it out and put Con Dem.
Limp Dick.
There you
Shall I
go.
change it to Limp Dick?
You see on those hen parties when you go out clubbing, those women with those giant inflatable cocks.
Yeah.
And why don't we buy one of them and you could attach it on the election day to their sign when they go to work? So when they come back, all this is this giant inflatable penis. I think that'd be.
I'm just looking forward to election day. So how did you get on then? Did you actually keep all your MPs?
Yeah, just smirk ever so slight.
Yeah. Because was it like 3 or 4? Is it 3 or 4 Tories went to the Lib Dems, didn't they? A couple of Labour
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah, it seems to be there's no loyalty between the parties. They just jump around, whatever suits their agenda the best and where they think they're going to keep their seat. By what party.
Well, that's the problem with them, isn't it? It's their agenda. It's their agenda, not their fucking constituents.
I know you only see that in the Brexit results, don't you? Areas which predominantly voted like 70% or 80% to leave, and yet the person said, "No, I'm gonna vote that we remain in." Hang on, what about your constituents' voice? Yeah, I know, but I don't care.
Yeah, well,
basically,
fuck them. They voted 4 years ago. So fuck them.
Yeah, that's right. So they're a bunch of
Basically
plebs.
the attitude, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. It's just, I'm better than you.
But to be fair, I'm with that mindset, I'm just going to put my cards on the table here. That if I was in like the biggest Remain constituency in England, it would give me great and indescribable pleasure to come to a lectern and say, in the interests of the country, I am voting to leave the European Union, and then start my own salt mine when it starts piling up.
I think
so
you'd probably
to be honest,
get drowned by a blue wave first, wouldn't you?
Oh mate, I'd be killed in my bed, and I don't care because it'd be worth it. So I don't get angry at these people that you're from a Remain constituency, or a Leave constituency. You voted for Remain. They say, yeah, I think it's better in the long run. I mean, I don't care. It's the case of because I sort of believe, or in my very own variation of might is right. It's a case of, well, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, that's
It's like,
literally
it's seriously, what are you gonna do?
This is it, isn't it? I mean, this is my biggest issue though with democracy. It's
Mhm.
people vote for something and they want it to happen, and it just gets subverted by the Commons, by the House of Lords. It gets manipulated. By the time you get to what the end product is, it's nothing like what you were promised at the beginning.
Mhm.
You sort of go around in circles. That's what's always frustrated me. Politicians just go around in circles to pay, to serve their masters, whoever they may be.
Well, Boris is rolling back on loads of his promises already before he's even won the election.
So what's the point of having a TV debate where you're going to debate things? You're going to talk about what you're going to do and what you're not going to do
it,
and you're not going to do it anyway. So what's the point? I mean, it just makes a complete farce.
It's almost like it's specifically designed to take up all of your time and have no impact in the long run whatsoever about anything important at all, and that it's meant to just sort of give you a way that you can affect change, and essentially create a dead end for you, which is why I'm very much of the look. You should, but it's not going to matter. Fix your own life and starve the beast.
To counter signal myself, there's that quote, isn't there? It's if voting changed anything, they wouldn't let you do it.
Yeah.
Who said that? That's quite a famous quote, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't know who it's attributed to, but It's bang
No.
on. It's bang on considering Brexit, isn't it?
But it is, and that's why they never asked us about immigration, because they knew what the answer would be even those many years ago. That's why
Well,
they wouldn't
apparently
ask you about
that's why Tony Blair never gave us a referendum on Maastricht or any of the other European treaty, because he knew we'd say no.
No, exactly. Yep, and that's why anything that comes up that's important, basically, well, I think Brexit, they shot themselves in the foot. But they won't make that mistake
even
again.
if the vote does go against them, they still win in the end anyway, don't they? They get their way
Yes.
in the end, don't they?
They're not gonna let the democratic process get in the way of what they want.
Yeah, apparently, the quote, "If voting made a difference, they wouldn't let us do it." Snopes says that it wasn't Mark Twain, so it was probably Mark Twain. So I'm just going to chalk that one up to Mark Twain.
Yeah, sounds good.
I thought it was Mark Twain, but I didn't want to put my neck on the line.
Nah, again, Snopes says it was Emma Goldman, so it was almost certainly Mark Twain.
Definitely Emma Goldman would be telling the goy not to vote, wouldn't she?
So I'm just going to chalk that one up to Mark Twain. But yeah, moving on. The short answer is change your life, change your situations, help others around you who are like-minded, change theirs, starve the fucking beast, because voting isn't going to do shit.
Yeah,
but do go down there and write a knob on the ballot paper at least.
Yeah, exactly. I said voting won't do it, but you should still draw a cock and balls on your ballot paper just in case. You know.
Is that the official Land of Grub and Glory voting strategy? Cock and
yes,
balls?
That's our policy. We don't care about anything else.
And you can quote us on that.
Yeah. So the full quote, if you want, is Land of Grub and Glory, November 2019. Voting makes no difference whatsoever. You should change yourself, your own life, and help others do the same to starve the beast. But you should draw a cock and balls on your ballot paper just in case. Close quote.
That's cock and balls with pubes and 3 spurts at the end.
And three.
If you don't do any of those things, you're letting the side.
Yeah. Cock and balls, or you could ask a question about the USS Liberty on you.
Yeah.
We need our USS Liberty, don't we? What's our version of the USS Liberty? Oh, it's the bombing of that hotel. Is it the hotel in Israel?
I thought it was the Belgrano, but I thought
no, that was just the Argies, weren't it?
Oh yeah, that doesn't fucking matter, does it? It's not like the Prime Minister.
There's a hotel in Israel, isn't there, that was bombed by Jewish terrorists. But I can't remember the name of the hotel.
Was that in the 50s?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have read that story very briefly, because it was all about the basically Israelis wanted their own. The Jews wanted their own state, wasn't it? That's what it came about. I don't know how. I was unaware of a lot of stuff until I walked into this movement.
Dad's a King David Hotel, according to GOP in the chat.
Okay, so we can
British headquarters at the time. Thank you, GOP.
Right. Cheers. Yeah.
During the Jewish insurgency in Mandatory Palestine. That's a hell of a name, isn't it? So ask a question about the King David Hotel bombing on your sheet if you want to go full Groiper.
I really hope those voting slips aren't marked in any way. It's going to be putting barcodes on them, I imagine. So if you do put any penises on your slip, they'll be coming around your house asking you why.
Oh, I hope they do. That'd be a wonderful conversation with the authorities. Why did you draw a penis on your voting slip, Capstan? Well, Constable, it's because I think that democracy is a load of balls. And
we're taking you in, Capstan, because we know it was 2 spurts, not 3.
Oh mate, I said, and then they'll have to wait. They'll have to arrest themselves for wasting police time.
Yeah.
If only they'd do that.
Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Oh, what a metaphor that would be.
I love that. One of my favourite 4chan things is that meme ball, isn't it? It's when your police are useless, but you live in a nightmare police state.
It is. It's the ultimate nightmare, though, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, they pretend to be absolutely hopeless, but they can. What's Godzone saying? He said, "But you didn't draw balls, Capstan, hairy or otherwise."
Hey.
Yeah. Right. So what we doing next? Then we've done that one. We've done. Do we want to talk about a thought patrol? Do we? About
Yes.
Grace. You've read this one, haven't you? Oh, by the way, lads.
Yeah.
Stories are in potential stories. So the one we're reading is Grace died when sex act went wrong. Got patrolled.
I think that can I just sum up this for the chat in 3 sentences before we discuss this? Into BDSM, goes on holiday, choke me, daddy, whoops. that is based. Oh dear.
Yeah, I've seen.
Oh my god! It's a case of it's just right at the bottom of the article when they're trying to dress it all up. They say, "Oh yes, she was part of. Oh yes, she had an account on a BDSM app and several logins on BDSM sites, but we're still investigating." And it's like, all right, okay, so she's interested in the rough stuff. She has a few drinks, meets with a bloke on Tinder, goes back, says, "Choke me, daddy," and he kills her. Whoops! Oh no, that's terrible. My heart bleeds. Nothing of value was
some of the choice quotes. He said that while death from consensual choking was rare, in scare quotes, it was dangerous, in scare quotes, if 2 people are inebriated, relatively inexperienced, and don't know each other too well.
That's insane. I mean, you could be going on like a date with Charles Manson, couldn't you, or bloody Fred West, you know. And that's just insane. You look at these people, and they're supposed to have some kind of like intelligence and some IQ levels here. But
so what are a young thought's survival chances once she leaves the British Isles? They're not good, are they?
About 5% by the look of it.
Got 1 in 5 chance. Got one.
But it's just of all the fucking things,
of
all the fucking things that killed her in Australia. It wasn't the snakes. It wasn't the spiders. It wasn't the wildebeest. It wasn't the
jellyfish.
It wasn't the box jellyfish. It wasn't the great white shark. It wasn't drowning. Oh no! It was a Tinder date and a request to choke me in bed. I mean, this just comes to a point, and I know that a few people are making a few comments in chat about this. About imagine being her dad. Imagine the shit going on in court, and he has to sit there in the gallery and have this shit read out to him over a period of months.
Mr. Mansfield added he was not seeking to attach any blame or shame to Miss Malay for any sexual interest she may have had.
But isn't this kind of like the same mentality these young women have? The world is this kind of happy place when they go to Afghanistan backpacking, you know, and then wonder why they come across like Islamic extremists and get tortured and beheaded.
To be fair, her chances would have been better if she'd have gone to Afghanistan backpacking.
Oh man, all I could think now is fucking. I know it's really bad, but all I've got this mental image of like Steve Irwin narrating this. Oh fucking hell, little Nipper's got her by the throat. Fucking hell, that's lethal. You know what I mean? It's so bad. I know I shouldn't, but like, here we go. Fucking hell, he's like a snake. He's choking her out. He's gonna eat her later. It's one of the deadliest creatures. That's the Australian Tinder python.
Look at his hands. They're like shovels.
Look at his fucking hands. It's so bad. I am going to hell. I am.
Yes, you are, mate.
I am burning in hell for
if
that.
there were any doubts before,
yeah, we're done now.
Speaking of people who were choked out accidentally, did anybody see the Prince Andrew interview the other night?
No.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
I haven't seen it. Like I said,
what
I've
they
seen
should have done.
snippets.
That's what they should have done with Epstein, man. It just got him a Tinder date.
Oh, fucking hell. Before we go any further, can I just make a small point about this is one of the many reasons that I don't listen to women anymore. It's shit like this. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. You know, it's with you. Oh,
It's not going away.
it's not going away.
80-20 is just as valid as 13-50.
Wasn't one of his PR advisor come out with some ridiculous?
He's been
horrible
sacked,
quote
hasn't he,
as well?
for it?
Yeah, I did read it, and I had to read
God,
it. A couple of
PR guru Jason Stein has started as the Prince Communications Secretary in September.
Yeah.
Do you think they're using this Andy thing to take some heat out of the Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself? Is that what it's all about?
There's always a plan, isn't there? Nothing of this happens by accident. It's their idea of like distractions and look over there, Goy. Look over there.
What was the quote I heard about Prince Andrew? Was it I thought it'd been rude not to talk to him again or something like that. What was it? I can't remember. It talked about Epstein. He said it would have been like bad form not to talk to him after he was accused of being a kiddie fucker.
He's so devoid of reality. They really are. Do they live in like this little micro bubble somewhere? Where the outside world doesn't happen. They're just oblivious to everything that goes on.
He
They've gotta be, haven't they?
he literally did the old "I never met the dead man" thing, didn't he? It's that woman. I never met the woman. I was picturing.
I've never met the woman. Yeah. The photo says otherwise, mate.
Oh, I've met her.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was a fan.
I thought you were talking about someone else.
I know.
Oh, by the way, are we clashing streams with someone, chat?
Yeah.
I have got the tweet. A Royal Central website editor Charlie Proctor tweeted on Saturday that the interview was a plane crashing into an oil tanker, causing a tsunami, triggering a nuclear explosion level bad.
To go back to your thing, Captain, I think it's Horus is on with his name. He's doing a stream anyway. So
I don't know who that is. But...
Well, Horus, he's on our Telegram sometimes, and he does a few videos about World War II. So he's people do know who he is. So perhaps they ventured over to listen to his stream rather than.
Oh, God's own prototype said the quote was actually, "I'm far too honourable just to drop him." Oh dear.
Talk about trying to look after your own all the time, isn't it? You know what I mean? Keep your friends close.
Well, he was only a pedo. There's no sense throwing him under the bus for that, is there? Oh, the full interview is in this article, in this Fox Business article. If anybody wants to watch it, I'll chuck the link out.
Dear,
I think I'm going to watch it because I saw it and I weren't sure whether to cover it on this show or 14 Words because it's like pretty out there. It's like high level conspiracy stuff. This isn't it?
Yeah, they have no. But the thing is, these people have no morals, as we know. And
I'm far too honourable to disassociate with this sexual predator and grooming gang and overall bad egg.
But this isn't Andy's first fuck up though, is it? Was it the arms dealer? Was he arms dealing or something? Or am I thinking of Mark Thatcher? I can't remember.
Nothing wrong with a bit of arms dealing, Gray. You know about that.
No,
Maybe come on. You know. Yeah, it's just. I mean, I do like. I just want to like make a distinction between arms dealers and grooming gangs for kids. I think there's a bit of a thing from selling a few dodgy Kalashnikovs to some, goat fuckers in the Middle East, as opposed to like selling kids. I didn't think I'd ever be on a stream defending the honor of arms dealers here, but here we are.
I've got next article. I've got a question for Mosley. Is your home constantly set to a sexist temperature? You're not alone. This is Pete Guardian. This one is. A new study finds men tend to get their way in household temperature discussions while women must compromise. Is this true in your household?
Yes.
Is it? Are you? Hey, nice.
Absolutely. If I say the temperature's right, it's right, mate.
Oh my god, they
Now
actually
get
have
back
a
in the
set.
fucking kitchen, and I want pickle on my sandwich.
Yep. I mean,
Did you
hang on a
know
minute, there's
The
icicles
Guardian?
coming off your nose.
Did you know you can sign up for the Week in Patriarchy, a newsletter on feminism and sexism sent every Saturday?
Oh, sign me up.
I am almost tempted to do that because that's just like a week's,
Mate, that's a segment. That is an
I was
entire
gonna say,
segment
yeah.
on this show.
Wow. I'm going to do that.
So the gender wars are heating up. Are you a victim of thermal bullying? Does your partner or roommate always get their way when it comes to how hot your house is? If you answered yes, then stay strong. You're not alone. According to a new study conducted by researchers from Ohio State University, a lot of households contain a thermostat dictator who rules everything with an iron fist. As it turns out, there's a gendered nature to this. The thermostat dictator is normally a man.
Holy shit.
You'd think it was satire, wouldn't you?
I would.
The name of the study: Thermostat Wars: The Roles of Gender and Thermal Comfort Negotiations in Household Energy Use Behaviour.
Oh my god.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Apparently,
what-
temperature is more than just comfort. Studies show that women are more productive and perform better on math and verbal tasks in warmer temperatures. And
As a
You know?
thermostat dictator, I'm going to play some 1930s German music every time someone questions the temperature in my house.
For you, the warm is over.
hey,
Very good.
very witty.
Oh dear me.
Oh, dear.
According
But
to
do
a
these people,
2015 study, the optimal office climate has been tailored to the work clothing and metabolic rates of a 154-pound 40-year-old man.
What you mean that those the type of people that actually make like all of the work and do most of the productive endeavors of a company?
Yeah.
Holy shit! It's almost as if the environment was built by us. Oh dear.
Imagine that. Eh? Imagine, to the needs of the people that actually make you money, produce things. Yeah.
Hmm.
But the thing is with these journalists is, I mean, there's someone out there, they're called the Guardian, or somebody's paying these people to write this fucking shite. Honestly. Oh dear.
Thing
Where
is,
would
they
they-
expect us to donate a quid to them at the end of the article every time, don't they, as well? Like anyone's going to pay for that with the right mind.
It's like they're not...
I'm going to sign up to that email though.
Yeah, I think I might do that actually.
I think you need to make a really sexist Gmail account. With a real sexist title or something, and subscribe.
Oh, what? No, don't do Gmail. You've got to make a Proton Mail account. 'Cause
Oh, a
otherwise
Proton.
otherwise they'll fuck about with it. Because otherwise, it's got, fucking, I don't know. Send it to something like, 1954, get back in the kitchen slag at protonmail.com or something like that.
Yeah.
Or, women can't write at protonmail.com or,
Yeah. Okay.
or something like that. It's got to be good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to do.
How about this one then? A Metropolitan Police Chief who was sent. This is one I've just found in the sidebar. Metropolitan Police Chief who was sent an unsolicited video of child sexual abuse via WhatsApp has been convicted of possessing indecent images on her phone. Superintendent Robin Williams, 54, yes, she is a Dindwisha, was found guilty by a jury at the Old Bailey and potentially faces being sacked after 36 years of distinguished service. Williams was at a gym class in February 2018 when she sent the video via WhatsApp on her phone by her sister, who was outraged by its content and wanted the person behind it caught. That seems like weird.
Now, I'm not going to want to, cast some kind of like conspiracy theory, but surely there's some backstory to that. That can't be the only reason why that person. Because if that's true, then that's the surface of the story.
Yeah, but the problem is, if you read like the next paragraph, what she says is that they were deliberating because she didn't report the image, because her sister sent her the image.
Right. Okay. And
So
they basically kept hold of it and didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Because you're on a duty to report if it gets sent to you.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Well, there's a moral duty to report if you get sent anything by that, like immediately, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Nice to see Dido's still about. Said she'd been sent it by her partner, Dido Masivi. I thought I hadn't seen a song of hers in ages. Yeah, only,
61.
only,
Who
90,
was
only
convicted
90s
of
kids will get
distributing
this
to
joke.
indecent images.
Yeah, crackers.
Yeah.
At one point in a police interview, Hodge said she had mentioned the video to her sister, but later said she had not. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Why do they have so much trouble just like, talking to the police in a sensible manner? I mean, why does it have to be like ridiculousness all of the time?
I don't know. Pass.
Oh dear.
Ugh.
Have you seen this one from the Daily Mail then? Pope Francis considers introducing new ecological sin.
I'm definitely going to hell, lads. There is no way out for me now. I'm just going to have to make peace, with this fact. Because I mean, I said if I was going to hell for making Steve Irwin impression earlier, all right, and then and now I'm getting sent down to the pit because of ecological transgressions against the Lord. I mean, fucking hell. I mean, I'm done.
Trouble,
I'm done in. Like, there's nothing I can do. It's just, I'm screwed.
What is actually wrong with this Pope? I mean, he's fucking pathetic, isn't he?
It's almost like he was brought into, because let's face it, the prior Pope was actually pretty based. I'm not even Catholic.
That's why he had to
but
go,
I can
wasn't it?
respect
He was
it.
former
And then
SS,
they
weren't
chucked
he?
him out.
Or Hitler Youth.
Yeah, something
Hitler
like
Youth,
that.
wasn't
Or sort of stuff. Yeah. And now Pope Francis, he was a Black Sabbath fan and all this sort of shit.
At the same event, the Pope also said that politicians who rage against homosexuals, gypsies, and Jews remind him of Hitler. It's literally Hitler. Oh God.
Everybody's Hitler.
Oh God! If you don't 100% believe in like globo homo and everything to do with it, oh God, you're literally Hitler. Oh God, we're all gonna die.
Speaking of globo homo, do you see Chick-fil-A have capitulated in the US?
Yeah, they've dropped a couple of their charities, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. They've, like I say, they capitulated to the pressure, and they've stopped donating to right-wing Christian groups, which is like the Samaritans. I think one of that.
No, it was Salvation Army, weren't it? Was one of them.
That's it, Salvation Army. That's it.
Yeah.
I knew it was somebody as evil. As evil
With
as that.
their assault trumpets.
Yeah, that's right.
Assault trumpets.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And all that handing out food to people, Christmas, and who are homeless, all that evil right wing stuff like that.
Those
Yeah.
50 cow tubers. I've got a good near for you. This is like, am I reading The Onion or is this actually a news article? It's anyone should be allowed to identify as black regardless of the colour of their skin or backgrounds. University leaders.
Oh, I'm so happy that this has finally come about. I predicted it in about 2015. One of these days you'll be allowed to be transracial,
Yeah,
which is great because honestly, we just need to start putting in applications for all those BAME apprenticeships at the BBC. That would be fucking brilliant.
Yes,
will we actually be able to unironically say I is black on the inside? I've been waiting for this for a decade. To be able to literally say that in public.
Well, look,
stick some blackface on as well.
Whose stream was I listening to the other day? They said I always put on black on forms. I can't remember whose stream I was listening to. It made me laugh.
I think we're I think in the chat, God's Own says it's Horus and Simon Harris stream, plus obviously the Corbyn and Boris thing has just started.
Speaking of streams and such, like, because I know Simon Harris currently lives in Spain, and as we all know, the Spanish are not white. So speaking on that tangent, can we have a chat? Take a break in this because I know a few people mentioned it, and I watched it in itself. Morgoth's little stream last night where Chris Dangerfield made an appearance.
Yes.
I know you mentioned 8-bit. Did you actually watch any of it?
I've only heard a little bit, mate. Like I said, I've been really trying to get round to listen to it, but today's been a bit mental. And someone mentioned it to me and said it was pretty interesting, and it was really, really good stream. So yeah.
Fair enough. Flashart, did you catch it?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't.
Fair enough. Anyway, I thought I'd just mention it because it was two sides of my consciousness having an argument and I found that quite interesting. And it was, again, I think I'd just like to bring it up because I'd like to direct people's attention to it if they haven't seen it already. It's on Morgoth's channel, and you should have a look at it because it's quite interesting. But the other thing, it means that because we've got quite a bit of diversity of opinion, even in our own circles, you don't go and have to argue with a communist anymore. But I think it's far more interesting arguing with someone that agrees with you sort of halfway, 70%, but there's still a fair amount of, I suppose, headroom between the pair of you. That
I mean, like,
for
example, Tommy supporters or someone like that, for example.
Yeah, I think I'd find an argument between Tommy supporters and the alt-right, for example, a bit more interesting than, say, the fash and the comms. You know, it's not something that because you know how it's going to turn out. But in terms of this was someone who is.
Well, I think
Chris
doesn't
Enfield
this kind of bleed into like the Groiper stuff as well? It's like because like it's conservatives getting BTFA'd, which we're actually enjoying, aren't we? Because they're I think they're a greater problem to us than anything on the left is, aren't they?
Is it like the old kind of like adage is like they're like it's almost traitors in your midst, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Where your enemy, you know who your enemy is, whereas traitors you're unsure of where they stand, and they could literally stab you in the back. You know what I mean? At the last moment when you thought they had your back. So yeah. What's
that other quote? Is it if I had a traitor and an enemy in front of me and one bullet, I'd shoot the traitor? I can't remember whose.
Yeah, that was the Romanian fascist, and I'm not going to pronounce it because I will butcher it. Yeah, that's the quote. Basically, the traitor would get it every time.
Yeah.
But
it's a very reasonable outlook because the fact is your enemy is an obvious enemy.
Yeah, that's right.
You know they're openly opposed to you. They are opposed to you. You know that they're an enemy. A traitor, is subversive. He gets into your midst. He, agrees with you. He goes undercover, and then he betrays you. It's two very different things.
If we bring it back to the election, I mean, Boris is a greater enemy to us than Corbyn because Boris promises stuff that he doesn't intend giving us.
Yeah, that's right. He's almost like, I'm your friend, and then
here you go. Look, see, I know exactly.
Not really.
I know exactly what pisses you off. I know exactly what needs to be done, but I'm not doing it. It's kind of the Boris attitude, isn't it?
Yeah. Go on, Carol.
No, it's fine. It's the fact that he's Turk as well. He's a literal fucking Turk. He's a literally. I'd vote for Corbyn if all he had to do was put in his tagline, insert Boris's head, and say, "Vote for me, I'll remove kebab." Honestly, Labour would get my every single.
He's having enough trouble with the JQ at the moment. I don't think he's going to start getting himself embroiled in the TQ as well, is he?
He might as fucking well. I mean, let's face it, he's already up shit creek. He might as well have a.
He might as well have a paddle, hadn't he?
But then again, this is my entire philosophy. It's like, for example, it's one of the reasons why I think hate speech laws are very dangerous because it's like, look, if I'm going to get arrested and tarred and feathered and with a criminal record for the rest of my life because of something innocuous, why don't I just really fucking go for it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's just.
Was that one of the subjects on the stream? Sorry,
I was just going to say quick. I was just going to say like the problem they don't realise is when everybody's a racist, no one's a racist, are they?
Exactly. Yep. Pretty much. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was that one of the subjects though, Capstan, to do with like you just mentioned about the hate speech, free speech? Because isn't certain people like free speech absolutists, whereas no Morgoth, he's not, is he? Free speech should have a limit of where you go with it. So
yeah, I mean, I think that with respect, I think that was addressed, but I think it was mainly a case of why there's so many white nats with Asian girlfriends was a bit more important.
Was it? Okay.
That was really fucking funny. If I'm
okay, I'm gonna have to listen to this now.
It was so great because it was like Dangerfield was like, yeah, I'm gonna marry a Cambodian woman, but it's fine because I put money into their economy, and Morgoth just went, but you oppose people moving to the United Kingdom, don't you, Chris? Yeah, don't you think that's a bit hypocritical, you bastard? You know what I mean? I can't do the accent, but it was like that. Yeah, for about 20 fucking minutes. It was beautiful, but
Did
and
he
did he
say,
come back?
Did he say had a way and shite?
Did he
Yeah.
come back?
Oh yeah, man.
Did Chris come back with any retorts that would be substantial?
Yeah, he had a few. He did have a few because it moved on, but because the problem is, Chris, it was like, you know, I've never said I was a nationalist or something like that. And I suppose that it was, you know, it was interesting. It had some shit going for it, but
I don't
again with the,
I don't think you can support the heroin trade and nationalism, can you?
it's oh dear. Yes, and it's a case of I like it because I go in for free speech absolutism, because if you don't, you just push speech underground, and if you push it underground, you don't know what's being said. So you know that's just my take on it.
We know even if I say if we win, even if we win, we know we can let we can let all the lefty arguments run because they can't be beat. They're illogical. They don't make sense, do they? So
they go through mental gymnastics.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got no problem with them carrying on after we win, have we? Because they can't win. Their arguments don't work. They don't stand up.
Well, it's you know, it's one of those things where I'm quite happy is when everyone goes, oh my god, you know, Capstan, have you actually seen what they've said is racist this week? And all I can think is, yep, that's 3 more for the cause, boys. It's, you know, again, I don't care. You know, it's like, yep, they're just going to keep pushing that until more and more people come on our side.
I think some of them don't understand that, you know, when you have history repeats itself over and over again in some shape, manner, or form. And when you have this situation that took place in the 1920s, 1930s with communism on the rise, you had a reaction to it.
Epidemic.
Yeah, that's the one.
Hey.
When you have communism on the rise, the reaction to it was fascism, or a right-wing stance. So in the modern day, you've got these people who are pushing these weird agendas with the trans kids and this degeneracy that takes place. And a lot of them, I know some people see it, but a lot of people don't see why populism, if you want to call it, or right-wing, or whatever you want to frame it, is on the rise. They don't seem to quite get this has happened before, because you've pushed people into a corner and you're making their country seem like a third world. You're making their society seem absolutely illogical and degenerate, and they want normality. And they look at normality and they see the right as normality. And it's just a reaction. The more you push left, the more you get the right.
It's said it's almost like virus antibody or virus white blood cell.
Yes,
you know, it's literally it's a reaction. That's one of the reasons why I hear a lot of people going, you know, oh yeah, wouldn't it be great to live in, I don't know, some sort of, you know, a particularly authoritarian style of nationalist state? And my response is, it would never last, because it constantly needs pressure in order to keep it unified. Otherwise, it will just slowly move left wing over time. You know, partly for biological reasons, partly through cultural reasons.
I think years ago you'd have, when we had a more conservative society, you know, at the beginning of the 20th century, as such, there's always going to be lefties and there's always going to be degenerate people in society. But I think when society has been allowed to become a lot more liberal with the 60s and the 70s and so on and so forth, I think bringing the pendulum round to a real kind of right wing, whatever, real conservative society, I can't see it, because people have been really brainwashed.
Like they've been indoctrinated.
Yes, it's gone on for too long.
Well, they attacked us. They attacked us. They attacked us at our very weak point, didn't they? Altruism and you know, just wanting to, you know, not wanting to do harm, because that's basically what we're like, aren't we? We're not this warlike evil people that we're portrayed to be, are we? Because basically, you know,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. There's been quite a lot of fucking conflicts in the past sort of 1,000 years, mate. It's been, you know, not even talking about the empire here, but I think that, oh yeah, we just love and we're peaceful and yeah, man, and we just got flowers in our hair, and it's like, I don't know.
No,
I don't mean like that. I mean just like generally, like our traits are kind of like altruism and kindness, aren't they? And that's how we've been attacked, isn't it? And it's how we're still attacked, isn't it? It's like
they always attack you at your weakest, don't they? Yeah. That's what they do.
look at this
What is
poor kid starving in Africa. You don't want him to starve, do you? And it's like, and our kind of way of being is like, no, we don't. It's like we should make everyone like us, don't we? It's like that's the way we are, isn't it?
I think
Mm.
that what I think you meant was it's almost like, yeah, we want society to be normal. We want our families to be healthy. We want this more, I don't know, not conservative, but sane society. We want a sane society where our people live, without crime exploding.
Mm.
We want to live a normal life. That's to
We
me.
want to live. I tell you what, I think I've got a slight modification. We want to live in a society, right, that is governed in a manner, right, that reinforces the genetically adaptive. All right, we want all right. We want society set up. People say it in a normal way or in a sane way, in a way that's beneficial to us and our genes,
Our people,
right?
yeah.
Our people, and that's the thing. It's we could talk about down to alleles, down to DNA, down to genes, down to children, whatever you want. We
Yeah.
want society set up in a manner that it basically makes passing our healthy genes down through the generations as simple and as possible and as stable as we can,
Yeah. That's it.
whilst maintaining our power either
Yeah,
in our countries and throughout the world with a massive fucking army.
We think is like if only we go over to those darkies, we can bring them tea and bureaucracy. We can sort their countries out. That's how we actually think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think that. But the thing is, I have big issues sometimes with some of the empire. I love some of the way the empire is celebrated, but the empire caused a lot of problems, and who funded the empire and why it came about and why we have the problems stems partially from the empire. Obviously, our links with India and
Mm.
Pakistan, Africa, and that is, and basically, we're never going to be allowed to forget.
Well, the
that now.
empire's become our Achilles heel, hasn't it? And
Yes, it has. That's
that's
what
the
I
way
mean.
they're
Yeah.
attacking us. So we can't have Brexit and get rid of the Europeans. We've got to have Brexit, get rid of the Europeans. But instead of having the Europeans, we'll have the Commonwealth instead.
Yes,
That's the way they're doing it.
It's quite an interesting thing you said about when you talk about like a sane society. Because even if you go back, say, 1,000 years, you look at the farmers in Anglo-Saxon England, they just wanted a normal life. They didn't necessarily want to go to war every 5 minutes and have a scrap, even though it's in our mentality, as I think, as Western Europeans. We're very, if you look at the wars and the conflicts we've had over the past 1,000 years and just before that, it's always been the mentality. But the common person doesn't really want to go to fight all the time. They just want a normal society, have children, and then leave their legacy, and that continues on through the generations. And I think that's what we're not allowed to be. That's a sane view.
Mm.
Yeah, in a modern society, that's a fascist, racist view because you want to protect the white race, and that's seen as this kind of white supremacist attitude, which is, as we know, is bullshit.
With this is the thing. Like, I mean, well, firstly, I've just had a look, and the Harrison Horus thing, just on a very quick other note, apparently it seems to be a regular thing starting at about 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. I don't know if, Gray, you want to use that information for anything, or maybe we could reschedule because
It doesn't really seem to be affecting our figures. We've only lost a couple so far. So.
fair enough. In that case, then we'll start. We'll keep going. But in terms of all of that, I mean, that depends. This brings to another couple of how do I put this? Another couple of points about what type of person you are. Right. For example, there's the term about the nationalist and the internationalist. Right. But I think that can be dialed back a bit and into our own communities. It's the people that I suppose the nationalists in our own communities and the internationalists, by which I mean the difference of, would you, for example, with the outlook of, I wish to preserve my nation and its ethnic stock and my people and their genius, etc., and I take this worldview and apply it to every other nation? Or are you fuck everything? I'm out for the Anglo, and I want the Anglo spread across the planet as the only race on Earth, or something like that. Are you? It depends what kind of outlook you have, I suppose.
My outlook on that is, to answer your question, is I'd want our country to be. I don't want to go around the world dominating the world. I know Brutus would definitely disagree because we had an argument about that. I don't want to go around the world and implementing our ideas onto other cultures, because That's
'Cause
what
they don't
we're
work. They don't work.
advocating against.
Look at the state of India. Look at the state of
No.
China. They've all
Yeah.
stolen our stuff, and they've fucked it up, and they're fucking the world up now.
So, would you want a state? I mean, I've read a bit of Mosley, obviously, and if you read some of the blurb in there, he actually says he wants us to have an air force at the time, a navy, and obviously an army, but as a defensive mechanism, not as a proactive invasionary force almost. So if someone attacks us, we'll defend ourselves, defend our waters, defend our airspace. But we're not going to go out looking for a fight with somebody, just to take over their country, take over their land, take their oil. Yeah. So we're not going to do that. And I think that's the attitude I might have.
Well, why do we need to
some
go and take
critics,
their oil? Why don't
but-
we just trade with them? I mean,
Yeah, but
that's
this
all we
is
need
what
to
he
do, isn't
advocated.
it?
This is what he advocated for, and this is what he was pillared for, because he talks about that. He talks about trade, but protecting our businesses and our industries, like the steel industry, the coal industry, protecting those industries, but still trading with them. There's nothing wrong with working with these people. Nothing wrong with doing business. It's how you do business in the best interest of your people.
I think that in terms of the empire question, and thank you for answering that, that was quite conclusive, is that I'm not quite talking, when I say about Anglo expansion, I'm not quite talking about the expansion of empire. I'm talking about true colonization. For example, the colonization that took place in the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand,
Okay.
for example. And it depends, because for example, my opponents, all right, my mortal enemies, if you will, make it quite clear that just because Britain is my home, England is my home, that I am of it, that doesn't matter, and they're quite happy to flood it full of foreigners, to subdue me and to reduce social cohesion. They're quite happy to destroy its histories and its language and its people in order to create global homo. So in my response, if the Indians and the Pakistanis are quite happy to move here and essentially colonize certain parts of my country, I don't have any bones whatsoever, not only throwing them out, but then getting rid of the Indian population and replacing it full of Anglos. If they're quite happy to turn London from English to this multi-ethnic slop, I don't have any bones whatsoever about sending essentially Anglos abroad to colonize your country.
Well, the same.
I don't really have any moral sort of reasons why I shouldn't. It's being used against us.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
The more of you that you have on the planet, usually the better and more dominant that your type or species become. It's one of the Islam and Arabs conquered the Middle East by the fire and the womb, the sword and the womb. They killed a lot of people. They had a lot of children, and then they made them Islamic, and now those countries are Islamic, and that's lasted 1,500 years. I'm not really talking about empire in a way where you control people. I'm talking about replacing them.
I don't think we have the numbers in, and I'm talking Western Europe here, because I'm talking. I mean, I don't know what the actual percentages are compared to, say, Africa or Far East Asia.
We ruled the world with 11 million people, Mosley.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So with empire-wise, we could control people, but whether, like Captain's saying, almost is outbreed them in terms of like take over, it's in this the demographic situation in the world. I think even if the white population of Europe decided to go on a mass breeding spree, I don't think we'd catch up.
I don't think that you're quite up to speed, because I might get myself into trouble. But what I'm saying is that the way Islam did this was fire and the womb. Firstly, they killed all the people, and then they replaced them with their own.
I know a brief history of the Middle East with, like, the expansion of the Islamic empire, if you want to, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And obviously their way into Spain, because they got quite far into Europe, I believe.
Oh, they got to Tours, mate. They got to southern France. That's not exactly,
That's what I mean. Yeah, they got really far. Yes, and they were eventually pushed back to a certain degree. But yeah, I know what you're saying. But using both strategies, like a two-pronged attack, is almost what you're saying with regard to what they've done. Yes. Okay.
Well, it's what a male lion does when he kills the male, when he kills the previous male, doesn't he? He kills the cubs, doesn't he?
Do you think though, this is like a bit deep, but do you think we're on the edge of the end of Western civilization as we know it? I mean, are we seeing the beginning of the end, or are we past the beginning of the end? And we're
I
heading
don't know. I think
towards-
it's the problem is it's such a great big it's the if you used to look at it on a graph, it's like I think we've still. I mean, do you think we've passed the peak, or do you think we're on our way down, or what do you think?
Nowhere fucking near. Quite frankly, I think that we've certainly hit our peak, and we hit that peak, in my opinion, in the Victorian age, mainly in terms of IQ and advancement. However, that doesn't mean that we still, we didn't stop inventing, even though that was peak invention. And again, I subscribe to the theory of Dr. Edward Dutton and Michael Woodley of Manet, where essentially Darwinian selection stopped, and that was our peak, because those that would have died started living and then started reproducing in number. Quite frankly, that's just how it works.
Yeah, and that's I mean, yeah, that's right. Yeah, people who would have died
Yeah.
from diseases in the past wouldn't have survived because
because
now with modern medicine and whatever else that comes with it, these people live because
because I'm trying to be honest. Like, this is the problem. I'm trying to do this in a sort of amoral way. I'm not trying to put a slant on it. Like, if you believe this is immoral and that we should use medical advancement to help people, that's great. If you think we don't, that's fine. Crack on. But what I'm saying is that these things happened, and the consequences of these things happening are X, Y, and Z. And whether it's nice or pleasant is, quite frankly, irrelevant.
It's the scientific conundrum, though, isn't it? Can we, but should we? But
exactly.
Scientists never ask that question, do they? They just crack on with it.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and with respect, in terms of, we don't have enough people to like colonize an entire nation. I disagree entirely. I think that Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and certain parts of South Africa can be held up as quite a.
But you're talking about, I don't know when was America? When did we go there? 200 odd years ago. I'm talking about in a modern. Sorry, mate. In a modern perspective. Like, I know I agree with you completely about Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada, the States. They are beacons of what can be achieved in that kind of area. But I'm on about more in a modern day framework, in terms of, are we as the Western Europe going to unite together and do this?
I don't think we are going to unite together.
No,
Cold day in hell, where us and the French are going to get along. And quite frankly, this is going to sound very obnoxious, but I don't care. That I think it's going to be us or nothing.
That's what I mean. It's
either we're going to fix it, as in the British, and more with respect, the English, or it's not going to be fixed.
Yeah, that's
quite
what
frankly,
I mean. Yeah.
Because we've got enough foreign diaspora that we'd still have the numbers to be able to do anything. The French can't say that. The Germans can't say that. The Spanish, with respect, aren't white, so we're not going to go there. Well, they are. But
do you think though? What do you think though, in perspective, like the way the French have always dealt with, especially in modern times? You look at the yellow vest.
Just before we get too far away from it, what I was going to say was look at how well the Muslims are doing, with about 4 million in the country.
Yeah, that's right.
Controlling it. So banding together, block voting, breeding like mad. I mean, it works.
But they also have protection, don't they, from certain things you can say. You can go on about, like, I don't know, a real short example is the thing in Birmingham with the fact they didn't want their children learning about homosexuality.
But the thing is that are they protected purely because they're Muslim, or are they protected because they vote cohesively?
No, they're protected because they're Muslim. Let's be quite honest. They're supposed to come into this society in order to displace it enough and reduce social trust, which means they're useful to the powers that be, which means they're protected.
That's what I mean.
Simple.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that the people that will, again, if you also listen to a lot of stuff with Edward Dutton and Dr. Michael of Woodley of Manet, if you actually read the the spiteful mutant hypothesis, essentially, that he's got, and you go into some of the books, one of their other takeaways is that this problem will self-right. Liberals don't have kids. environmentalists don't have kids, vegans don't have as many kids. You know, K-selected people
and the
have
kids
kids.
They do have are useless, aren't they?
Are useless. Are fucking useless.
Because the brains, their brains aren't developed
They
properly.
don't develop, do they? Because they're only given vegetables and rabbit food and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. So it's the case of K-selected people, i.e., high time preference, you know, high parental investment, you know, usually religious, usually conservative, usually again a great amount of traits that our opponents don't have. These are the people that's having kids, because the best part is that birth control is working. It might people might not like it, but birth control is working. Birth control that don't have as many kids
but the other thing
are
as
for the most part liberal.
The Muslims,
You know,
the Muslims will end up poisoned by the society, and then they'll have to drag another lot in. It's not a system that's going to work. It's a Ponzi scheme that's going to fall over eventually.
But what I'm saying is specifically in regard to population, is that if the only people who are having kids are basically, you know, where's my wheat field running trad waifu types, or just like normal, sane, rational, K-selected people who are vaguely intelligent, who would have lived under conditions of Darwinian selection, right? If those are the only people having kids, then type of people, society.
There's one group you forgot: the dolies that are literally paid to spit out kids.
Oh yeah, but the problem is that's the other thing, is that you've religious and conservative types who are having lots of children, and then you've got stupid people having lots of children who are more instinctive.
Yes,
and if they're more instinctive, then they're not going to go for abstract ideals like multiculturalism and fairness, because they're instinctive.
Well, yeah, because a lot of them are like would vote UKIP, wouldn't they? And they hate They don't like the Muslims stealing their benefits, do they?
Yeah. So let's face it. So the two types of people that are having positive correlated fertility are whites who are a bit thick and who are lower down the social economic status, and stable religious K-selected people who have an intention, who are usually religious and conservative, to have a lot of children. So the way I see that is you've got an officer and NCO class, and then like a shitload of cannon fodder who are spewing out doll kids.
I was literally just about to say officer class.
Yeah, officer class. So as far as I'm concerned, you've got enough people to spit out enough Jonathan Bowden types, right, in order to run things properly, and basically enough of a workforce in order to do something about it. So I'm actually not too concerned, because you know things go in leaps and bounds, you know, but they do happen in cycles and rhymes, you know. So it's a case of, yeah, we might have this back, but we might have to wait 1,000 years before we get another society like this one, or better than this one, because that's just what happens.
We don't want this one. We want one from about 50 years ago.
But we don't. We fucking don't. I don't want to live in the fucking 50s. I want to live I want to live in some fucking space race, again, colonizing Mars. I think we'll
have steampunk before that, mate.
Yeah, I know, but the problem is, in 1,000 years we get it, in the same way that 1,000 years after the Roman Empire we got Renaissance and all of that. Because we might be looking at another 1,000 years before we get something better than the state that we lived in the 1870s. In terms of ideas and IQ and genetically adaptive traits. That's what I'm saying.
So you mean literally like Australia and America will be lost to us, and then we'll just start all over again with another British Empire.
Yes, pretty much. That's what. Yes, give it a couple of 1,000 years, and I guarantee that's what's going to happen. But the reason that I'm not in despair is because it's you think about it, all of the white population, right, that aren't having kids and that having less kids than having less kids than people like us, are the types who would basically fuck up the society, and being, of a certain mindset with certain genetic traits that they have gained, right? that are disadvantageous to society. And if none of those people have kids, or if they just have a few kids, or maybe just the one or two, compared to the 3 or 4 or even 5 or 6 for conservative religious people and dole queue scroungers. So you've got loads of people who, again, just to reiterate, and some God's own prototype put it in chat, has put, so basically whites won't be having any of this shite no more attitude. And he's exactly right. If the majority of your population aren't having this shit and are very instinctive, and a lot of religious and conservative types who also had a lot of kids who aren't instinctive and are intelligent enough in order to essentially form this group of people into an effective force.
They know
and
enough
guess
to,
what?
they know enough to
We
have,
won't.
have an active sense of injustice, don't they? These people. I mean, the feeling because everybody encounters these people now and again. It's like they have there's a feeling of injustice going on, isn't there?
I said I'd agree with that. And the fact is that even though, G especially and IQ has been dropping on average, I think that it's dropped even faster, mainly because of immigration. The fact is that people are getting a bit fucking stupid
because
put
you
it
dumb
quite
down
bluntly.
education system, don't you? I mean, the education system is where you build the building blocks for people's intelligence.
Well,
in so many ways.
Tedious was saying there's a whole generation of Zoomers that don't even know what a screwdriver is.
Pardon?
That's terrifying.
Bloody hell.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but this is it. If you actually look at what some of the stuff that children are being taught, it's basic. It really is. I mean, I read somewhere a while back they got a bunch of kids from say I don't know, say 10 years ago to do an exam, and they failed. There were exams from the 50s and the 60s because even they learned by dumbing down the education system, you dumb down society as a whole.
Yeah.
It's children are the building blocks, aren't they? Of
Well,
a society.
you get out what you put in. You put nothing into the education.
So it's
system,
not
you get
about
nothing out.
education, is it? It's about indoctrination.
Yeah.
It's about it's manipulation and indoctrination. If you manipulate people and indoctrinate them with ideas, then you've got that's what the thing. The left have got hold of, whether the left, when you want to call it, have got hold of the education establishment, whether it's school or university and everything else in between. And we needed to get hold of that's what the key. For long. That's why we get the shit we get now from all these
See,
newspapers.
it's the thing is, it's like, they don't like the whole screwdriver thing. They don't care whether kids know what a screwdriver is or not, but they're okay as long as they know all 100 genders off by heart. That's the problem here.
And they can order off Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you go on Amazon and order something from China. Yeah.
Well, that's going to be home economics of the future, isn't it? Like, show you how to order a product on Amazon, how to do a sign up and stuff. It's like the sign up will probably be gone then. It will just be a biometric sign up when you get born, won't it?
Yes, this is it.
Well, here's your birth certificate, and here's your Amazon account password. Yeah,
and your Google account. Yeah, and your Google.
But I think, lads, with respect, I think I'm a little more deterministic slightly than yourselves, because whilst a good education system really does matter, I do think that the overall genetic cap that people have, a genetic potential, most certainly needs to be improved as well. Like, the fact is, you've got two things at play. You've got their genetic potential, which is one thing, and then you've got the exploitation and the encouragement and the, I suppose, how would you describe it? The capitalization, we'll just say, on that, or the exploitation of that genetic potential, right, through schooling and through education and through pushing someone to essentially take, because that's all it is. If you've got an IQ of 150 and you flip burgers at a local fast food joint, well, you might as well just have an IQ of 20. Or sorry, that's very low. Have an IQ of 85
talking about
or something.
the flipping burgers thing, haven't they? There's been a lot of news recently about McDonald's workers demanding the minimum wage be raised or something, hasn't they?
Yeah, 15 quid an hour. But I agree. I agree with what you say. But like you can tell me more because you're younger than I am. About the way that the boys were especially treated in education systems, because I'm a bit older than you, and I think we discussed this before. How when I was at school, it was minimal what I had to put up with, the crap, the kind of equal kind of. Whereas
when I was at school, I always had the feeling there was like a favoritism and all of that kind of stuff. If you get what I mean.
Well, but there is, though. This is the problem. There has been research on this, and with respect, I'd need about 15 minutes to dig it out if we were going into it. So I'm afraid you'll have to take my word for it, and I'll find it after the stream. I promise.
Okay, mate.
But in terms of all of this, there was research that in the difference between teachers, female teachers, when marking students, usually increased the mark of female students by about 3% and decreased the one for boys for about 2 or 3%. But it was roughly an equal addition and subtraction percentage score compared with the control group, who were just given numbers, a number identifier as opposed to a name that was distinctly male or female.
So it's
And
Well, my mate was a doctor's son, and I swear he used to get an A just for turning up. It's just, it was just like weird the grades he used to get. I was no less intelligent than him, but he always got better grades.
So with regard to so it's almost like a predisposed from the female teachers. They see a girl's name, it's inherently built into them that they will give that person a higher mark because they're female. And because
yes.
Yeah.
It just happens, and with respect, the entire system has been made in a way to suit, has been changed in a manner or reformed in order to suit female learning styles. For example, the greater amount of group work as opposed to solitary work. Be patient, be
Coursework.
mild-mannered, coursework as opposed to
Coursework helps
exams.
you when you flut your eyelashes. I mean that
Yeah.
reminds me of the stat. Did you hear about the you know when the speeding cameras came in, women's speeding stats went up through the roof because obviously they couldn't flut their eyelashes and flush their tits at a copper.
Yeah, and get away with the speeding. Yeah.
And
But
I
that
think
surprise
I think the same thing still happens in schools because again there was a girl I used to go to school with. She was like a total slacker. Yet decided to get her act together. Like started making a little bit more effort. Started fluttering her eyelashes at the teacher, and her grades went up through the roof.
Gentlemen, just very quickly, do you mind have literally 30 seconds to address the chat, because there seems to be a bit of a IQ discussion going on that I've raised. So very quickly, basically 30 seconds to address the chat. There seems to be a lot of or a bit of talk about East Asians versus Western Europeans, about the East Asians have an IQ of about 105 on average, and we have an IQ of about 100. And the fact that China was the first major civilization, etc. The problem is Europeans are more outbred than the East Asians, who are far more inbred, who are more closely related to each other. So it means the IQ is more. You are more likely to be of an average IQ. With Europeans, because we are more outbred, we have a higher distribution curve, or a wider distribution curve of IQ. So we have an average of 100, but we've got more stupid people, but a lot more genius. This is referred to as a genius strategy. So because we have, whilst our average is 100, we have more people at the top and lower end of that broader distribution curve. But because we have more people at the top end, right, is that we have a far higher macro invention rate per capita per year than either China, Japan, South Korea, or any of the East Asian nations, because we have more of that top 2% that, with respect, creates the vast majority of inventions in society. That's my piece. Sorry.
My bit I'd add to that is that I think that we have one thing that the insect nations don't have, and that's imagination. I think we're a little bit stronger than some nations physically. We're a bit less intelligent than others, but we also have imagination as well. So we can put all three together and make us more effective than most nations. What do you guys think to that?
I'd go along with what both of you said. I think that's quite an interesting point you've made, because if you've got a massive broader spectrum, the average is going to be less than if you have a smaller spectrum that's entwined into a certain category. So that's pretty interesting. I never really thought about the IQ thing like that. I also agree though with the imagination thing as well, because it's all right being intelligent. It's the way you use your intelligence as well.
There's that phrase, isn't there? It's the difference between knowledge and intelligence. Knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Intelligence is not putting it in a fruit salad.
Oh man, I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not going to respond to that. Let's move on. Oh dear. But yeah, I just thought I'd make that note. It's not just the raw numbers of average IQ. And this is what I see a lot of people doing with statistics. They seem to boil it down to very little. Like, for example, the other one that I see is average numbers of sexual partners for the modern woman. This is something I see quite a lot, especially amongst young men going, oh, the average bird's fucked 11 guys. Oh, mate, that means she can't pair bond and that she's probably got an STD and that I'm more likely to be divorced to her and all that. And that is true. But the problem is, the way that this information is extracted is it depends what's the median number. The average can fuck off, because the fact is, if you have 30 girls in a room, okay, or 10 girls in a room, and they've all had one bloke, right, so the average is 1, but then you introduce an 11th woman shagged 50 guys,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
suddenly the average becomes 6.
yeah, the average goes
You
up.
see what I
to
mean? Like you
Yeah.
said, you have to adjust for the outliers and for the wider distribution. For example, you could say that a woman in Britain now, on average, she shagged, I don't know, 7 blokes. But in the same time that the Pareto principle is correct for men, that I believe it's 20% of men get 80% of the sex, is that what I don't think anyone's considered is, what if it's 20% of the woman that's shagging 80% of the blokes? Do you see what I mean? That what if it's the minority of women who have a partner count in the late 50s, and that there are an awful lot of women who don't? Like, I don't know off the top of my head. This could be, it could be not. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot more to statistics than people at first make out. They take the average number and then they lament. But the problem is, it's about the implementation of those averages, those modes, those medians. Basically, everything you learn in year 9 or maths is very important, and you really need to advise it before listening to some average statistic from some bullshit left-wing newspaper.
Well, that's it. You can manipulate statistics to suit your own needs. You know that as well as I do. You know, if you want something to come across as something that for your argument, you can do that. And that's what they do with their argument. They'll use that, and it will be basic, and someone will go, "Oh, so the average IQ of a European person is 100." But like you said, if you dig into the statistics themselves and look at who you're dealing with, perhaps you can actually manipulate the statistics. Hang on a minute, this statistic isn't what it's saying is. It's actually higher than that in different brackets, or lower than that in different.
Oh,
So,
mate,
Yeah,
just,
exactly. Like,
just
this
to
is
derail
it's
you,
why
lads,
the phrase "lies, damn lies, and statistics," because
just to derail you, lads, do you think the episode title should have been Unjust Desserts?
and apparently, Hemi, you've got 88 subscribers.
88. I know.
88 subscribers.
I know. Episode 14 of 14 Words on YouTube has had 88 views.
Ooh.
I screenshotted it as well.
Oh, by the way, can I again? I'm really sorry. I literally 15 seconds to address the chat.
Yeah.
A lot of people seem to be taking on board what I've said, and that's great. But I've seen a few things like, "Oh, it's creativity and not IQ that's not important." No. They are both fundamentally, essentially important to the success of civilization. We need both. We need both of those things.
It's all of them. It's all of them.
Very, very important. We
It's
want both of those numbers going up.
It's all of them in the right level, isn't it? That's why we're so successful, isn't it, as a nation?
Yes.
Yeah, I cannot emphasize enough just how important both creativity, IQ, and cohesion are in a society.
They go hand in hand, don't they?
I really can't do it. I need to say to the chat. I appreciate
this comes
this,
from.
but
Hold on. Well, this comes from something that we used to have. You know, we used to hate the next village over or the next town over. You see, when you're like that, you hate the next village or the next town over. You don't have to worry about nationalism, because it's a given that you're nationalist, because you're already so you're so into your own group that it goes without saying that you're going to defend the country, doesn't it?
This is it. Yeah. Right. And I agree with Capstan. It's like things go hand in hand. You need creativity. You need IQ. You need people. You know, it all goes together to create a great, civilized, fantastic society, which we have seen.
You also need drones as well, don't you? You need people that are just going to work, don't you? Who are like an ox or something, you know, just going to work and work and work, don't you? You need those people as well.
Well, all society, or civilizations, has always seen. Yes, you've seen that. You've seen the people at the top and the people, and that's how society works. Some people are inherently more smarter than other people. That's how life works.
Well,
And
it's
unfortunately,
kind of
society now doesn't have that, does it? Everyone's got to be equal,
it's
but people
kind
aren't
of
equal.
it's kind of communist, but you do every single part of the society needs to know their job and know their place, and that's kind of that's the thing that kind of things like the X Factor and the National Lottery are fucking up, isn't it? Because people are pinning their hopes on the National Lottery or the X Factor to drag them out with it rather than their own hard work. They
Rather than
they
hard
think
work to
they
get.
think their place is to be on telly and look gorgeous, don't they?
Yeah, everyone's told though. They're told at school. Like you go
Yeah.
back to that. You're as equally as important as the guy next to you or the girl next to you or whatever the situation may be. But in some case, why can some people be a fantastic artist, where some people are fantastic at working with engines, some people are brilliant with computers, some people can write, some people can't. It's just what life is. Some people are brilliant at things,
Well,
and some people
they
are
are.
absolute shit at things.
They are in a sense right when they say that, aren't they? But they're not giving the whole story. It's like every part of society is just as important as every other part of society, and without all things together, a society doesn't work properly. But they don't explain that, do they? They don't explain the
No,
love.
they say your contribution or
Yeah,
you are as important as him. Well, it depends on the way you look at it, because if someone's sweeping the roads, okay, someone's sweeping the roads. But if someone else is doing something which then allows somebody else to do something in your country to prosper, that
Yeah.
person has technically got a more of a contribution to society, and that
Yeah,
sounds really
exactly.
awful.
But this is the problem. They can't say it because in some respects, I agree with everything that's been said in the past sort of 2 minutes. It's absolutely correct. The binman and the brain surgeon are both fundamental to the survival of society. If you take either one of those two people away, we're fucked.
yeah.
Okay, because we're either going to go up to our necks in shit, okay, and we'll all get disease and die, or in terms of brain surgeons, that the number of people that would be getting aneurysms and such like, who can't be helped, will also die.
Yeah.
Okay, and that life will be a lot more short and bloody and brief. The problem is, it takes an awful lot more money to train a surgeon than it does a binman.
Yeah, that's what.
It takes a requisite, a certain, again, like what you said, it takes the average binman, I think, is sitting at 85 IQ on average. On average, a brain surgeon, I believe, is sitting on about 130, 125.
Yeah, but
There's
they're
a big
probably,
difference.
yeah, but that surgeon's probably a Ramona.
Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, medical science has been keeping too many people alive. Let's be quite honest, boys. It's really not a terrible thing. Maybe the Amprim is right.
I think what I was trying to say earlier with my greater point about society and everybody has their place is like, what people should really do is like everybody should have pride in their job. Is what I mean. It's like wherever you end up, you should always do your best and have pride in your work.
Well, I think that, like, with respect, is that you're going to have more pride in your work when you know that it's going to either directly or indirectly help you.
Yeah.
I mean, I said, and you'll be less, get less. There's far less animosity towards other groups in society. Is if you know what they're doing will improve you all as a general. For example,
and also, if the surgeon does appreciate his pinman as well.
Yeah, exactly. In the same way as the binman will appreciate the surgeon. The problem is, if the surgeon wants to flood the country full of like low IQ foreigners in order to replace the binman because they want more money, binman's going to get really pissed off. In the same way, the surgeon would get really fucking infuriated if the binman voted to cut his hospital budget and reduce his salary.
Yeah,
he'd be fucking furious. And yeah. So there's a lot in there. There's a lot in here.
Oh, they're absolutely.
Like, again, it's a massive, massive subject about but again, I want the takeaway for this to be that, that it's partly right. You're not equal, but you are all very, very important. And if we took one strata away from society, it would all fall to shit.
This is my issue with communism, because communism, basically, on most levels, takes everyone down to the same. So, if you look at the farms, like in Ukraine, producing lots of money, and they were making lots of money for themselves and with the stuff they have, then the state takes over and basically subjugates those people and says, you've got to work as hard, but for a fraction of the money. Those people are going to go, hang on a minute. I've been quite wealthy. I've been quite, I've been looking after my family, and now my family is going to basically starve, but I've got to do twice as much work. And that's the problem I always see with communism. It levels everyone down to a level playing field, where they, even though someone's contribution might be different, it's never seen as different. Almost the same. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the national economy is like an ecosystem, and that's why everything's gone haywire at the moment, because they're fucking with it, aren't they? By bringing in like basically what the immigrants are is kind of scab labour, isn't it? To stop people unionising and working for a fair wage, isn't it?
Well, I think I mentioned this last week. If you have like the guy around here, he came across this country. He didn't have the skills. He went to this work, wanted them to work. He said, "I'll train to be a welder." So he trains to be a welder for half the wage, which I was told by his partner, half the wage of a trained welder in this country. So you can then employ two people who are doing a job that's probably substandard to the stuff you've been producing before, but you're getting double the amount of production out of them because they've got two of them rather than the one guy who's doing this job to a really high standard.
But by that kind of logic, you probably have four of them and one British well-trained guy repairing all their mistakes, couldn't you?
Yeah, but this is the problem. They don't care about the quality sometimes. It's almost like, well, that goes out the door. Well, that's met our quota. We've produced X amount of whatever they were producing. They don't care that the standard's not as good as it was 5-10 years ago because they're producing 3 or 4
Well,
times
the immigrant's opinion is, I've welded, you pay me, isn't it? That's their attitude, isn't it? It doesn't matter whether the job's any good or not. They say, I've welded, you pay me, don't they?
Yeah, and they're earning a half, well, probably more than that, over half what the British guy or the whatever was there before, and either he takes a massive wage cut or he's out of a job.
Yeah.
So that only benefits big corporations, doesn't it? Because then they can make more money, by producing more, but obviously paying people a lot less.
Wait, I mean, the real problem we face is not so much our friends with the small hats. It's the corporations they run that have feet in many countries, isn't it? That's what the real problem is. The fact that they can switch from country to country to country, and it doesn't really affect them, does it?
Well, which is what a lot of people in the 1930s in certain countries had an issue with. Yeah, without naming anybody. Do you know what I mean? Because that was the crux of it. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't just one particular person who had an issue with it.
I thought literally one day somebody woke up and decided that was that, didn't they?
Just for no reason whatsoever.
No reason whatsoever.
But yeah, that's what it comes down to. Nothing has really changed fundamentally. In on the basic principle, on the basic level, it's always been about money, and they've just learned how to make more money, how to manipulate.
I don't think it's about that too much. I think it's about power, personally.
Well, it is about power.
I think that it comes under the definition. Money is simply a route to power.
Yeah, but they've got power because they've got better at the game than they used to be. Yeah, that's what they've done. They've got better at playing the game than we have to a certain degree because they hold more power than we do. You can manipulate the game a lot more.
Indeed. So
that was a bit of a downer. That was a bit of a downer to finish on, was it not?
I don't think that's a downer. I think I said we're
sorry.
Funny, we're funny, but we're serious. You know what I mean? Like,
you've got to have a mixture of both. Absolutely.
Well, we started off with a bit of a laugh, and while we're on a downer, do you want to talk about this story? Hundreds of London bars to receive bleed control kits for knife crime.
Dude, the last time I went into the capital was a couple of years ago. I don't know about anyone else on the stream. I can't face going to big cities like Birmingham, London. To be honest, because of the situation. I know you could turn around and say, well, it's not as bad as it says it is, but it's hard to convince people otherwise when you speak to people who do live in these places that this situation is probably worse than reported. So
the problem is the fact that it's the stab control kit. Yeah. What you mean, the stab kit? The knife kit, the bleed
control kit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I find that funny. We might as well call them the fucking. Why don't we just call it the youth club kit? For fuck's sake. The youth,
What we need is more ping pong tables, mate.
That'll stop this. Yeah.
And that'll stop everything in its tracks.
Yeah, play ping pong, save a life. I don't fucking know. But the problem is, it's a case of, I don't like major population centres, and I don't either. 8-bit. But at the same time, it's like I especially don't like major population centers when they're full of foreigners that want to stab me. Do you see what I mean? It's like London's pretty bad, but I think Beirut
I can't
would be
remember
worse.
who was saying it, but they had a point. The problem is that we've ceded the cities, haven't we? We've given them the cities, haven't we? By white flat. I'm not saying it's not justified, but I'm saying what we've effectively done is we've just given over the cities to them, haven't we? And that's why they can act like this, can't they?
But in Ireland, it's different. I think I've mentioned this before on another stream. They put them in cities in this country, but what they've realised is they can get more results by putting people in villages, and you can take over the demographic percentages of a village or a small town. You put them out in the sticks, which is what they've done in Ireland. So if you look at a village photograph of, like we've seen on social media, of children in a school, you've got, say, I don't know, 40 kids in this picture. Well, 25, 30 of them are from a different, are definitely not Irish. So that's the way you take over an area better, I think. In some ways, is by getting into smaller pockets rather than one big pocket and forming ghetto in your own.
Boris, this Radio Aryan, Sven Longshanks was talking about this today in a podcast I listened to today. Boris has stopped the Eastern Europeans coming over picking the fruit, but instead it will go to Pakistanis and Sudanese.
Well, that's pretty much it. Isn't it? That's pretty much what would happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to stop punching you in the face with my left hand. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to start punching you in the face with the right hand.
There you go.
You
Yeah.
see?
That's pretty much. Yeah. That's the analogy. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's basically the choice when you vote, isn't it? Do you want a punch in the face or a kick in the balls? Which would you prefer?
Yeah. Which one's going to be better for you? Yeah.
I think another one of my favourite ones. Politicians. It's like the sheep voting for which wolf to be eaten by, isn't it? Voting.
Yeah. It's like turkeys voting for Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, lads, it's one of those things. Of the other thing, I think I have to do my honestly my nightly PSA, right? About for anyone that's waiting for a power cut and a chimp out, it's not going to happen, right? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, if I'm going to have to piss some people off now, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Repeat after me: the power cut and a chimp out is not going to happen.
Oh, this is a long, slow slide.
The state of South Africa right now, right, is far, far worse. The murder rate, the currency, the job market, the lot is far worse than it is here, and it still hasn't happened yet, guys. So I'm sorry, but I have to do this every fucking time because some bugger either in the chat what goes, oh yeah, but give it 20 years and keep fit, everyone, because it'll all be because chimp out's coming and like. Can we please just? I have to do this every fucking time I come on this stream now, Gray. How long do we have to do it? How long do we have to keep fucking saying it? But it's not going away, and that you just have to live with it for a bit.
Do you think it's worse for us though to see South Africa at the moment and having a look at what's going to take place in the future? Is it worse knowing what's coming or not? Do you know? I think it's worse.
Well, that's the thing. Is it Grief always says that we're like 30 years ahead of like current politics, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We can see this coming, can't we?
Yeah, because this is the thing. In a way, that it's good because you can plan for it on an individual. Like you and me, we could go to the pub and okay, fuck, mitigate the damage to our personal circumstances, our friends, our family, our life, or whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, it's a case of: do you want to get punched in the face, or do you or hit in the face with a baseball bat from like a really big bloke, or do you want to see the baseball bat being swung at you gently for 30 years and then eventually collide with your face? Yeah. Do you see what I mean? Like it depends. You can plan for it. You can plan for when the baseball bat hits your face. You can get appropriate medical cover. You can arrange an ambulance. You can tell your families and friends that you love them. You can look at the effects of what happens when you get hit by a baseball bat and all of this sort of shit. But the problem is you're still going to get twatted.
Was it Mike Tyson? Was it Mike Tyson who said everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face?
Punched in the face, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, sometimes it's better not. Sometimes we've got all this planning ahead, but we're still going to get punched, like you said, and
Yeah.
that in some ways is not great because you know what's coming.
What we're engaging,
or even worse.
what we're engaging in is the longest flinch in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I mean, and that I think that
Yeah.
could be worse in some way because with like the wars in South Africa, in certain parts of America, it sort of happened really accelerated pretty quickly, whereas we've seen it, from a long way away. We're going, this is interesting.
Well,
When this finally gets
ours is
to...
different because our destiny is like Iran, isn't it? I think our destiny isn't South Africa. I think our destiny is Iran. To be quite honest, I don't know whether you guys agree or disagree with that one.
Well, if you look at Germany, it's difficult to say because in parts of Italy and things like that, they've got a different demographics come over compared to say.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely going to be South Africa, aren't they? But I mean, us in England, I don't know whether it's like the island thing coming out or what. But I think we're more on course to be Iran than we are anywhere else. Because of the particular
whichever the way it
problems we face.
unfolds. Whichever the way it unfolds, I don't think it's going to be particularly pleasant on a holiday in the sun, which is another.
I've always wondered whether we should do the old switcheroo.
To leave you with.
Or leave England and go and have a country in Africa. Just pick one. Just pick one that's fairly uninhabited.
If you love Europe so much, then you know what we'll do a swap.
At least we have at least we have some good weather then. Get away from the rain.
Yes, right. At least you won't have to scrape the ice off your car anymore.
Right. So you want to take me away from my nice island? God, through his own admission, said it was the greatest place on earth, surrounded it by water, protected it, gave us this warm, temperate climate in order to trade that away with Ngubu. So now I'm surrounded by a billion wogs in some heated desert in the middle of fucking nowhere. No. Thanks, mate. I'm really appreciate that, mate.
Gavston, we can go back. We can go back to the lost episode of Hemi's house party. Coin operated 50 cows. Around your encampment.
I did around my encampment. Oh yeah, mate. So you've got the fucking, and then we can have our fucking coin operated chain guns in this ANCAP paradise or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be brilliant,
and that'll be recreation.
Oh dear. And then a lot of people in chat being very insightful. They'd just follow us there for Gibbs, mate, and then we'll move back here and repair it at ad infinitum.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, the warm temperate climate. Where the fuck do you live? Says Anglo Celtics. Yeah, sorry, my mistake. Yeah, I meant to say this rainy, windswept shithole, but either way.
Grief like the longest flinch in history.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh dear. Right, in that case, then we've been at this for a couple of hours.
2 hours is about what we do.
Yeah. Has anything got anyone got? Yeah, any other business?
Not that I can of, no.
So I'll look through his stacks see if I missed anything.
Flash. Any other business?
Nick
I'm
Griffin.
just checking now. Hang on. There was one story I think we missed. Hang on.
What's that? Nick Griffin's declaring support for Jeremy Corbyn. Nick Griffin is declaring support for Jeremy Corbyn.
I'm saying there was one more story I think we missed.
Hold on.
I think there's a couple. Can anybody hear me?
Oh,
I'm setting up.
Okay, Nick Griffin, the only bloke to keep saying it's the Jews for 15 years, and then got bored and started saying it was the Americans for a bit just to spice things up.
Hold on. Got to cut everyone off. That's it. I'm back.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we should. What was that flash art? I know that Gray sort of cucked you because
it was just one story I came across. I'm not sure when this was from. Hang on. It was from the Twitter account. What was it called? War Plan Purple, isn't it, or something? Do you know that one?
Isn't that Sargon?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he regularly shares articles. Whoever it is, shared an article about. British comedies are apparently getting the axe or something because they're not PC enough or something. So it shows
they're
like
not talking
only
about
films.
that new streaming service that's going to stream old comedy.
Was it called BritBox or something? I'm not 100% on
Yeah,
it.
but they're not going to. Ironically enough, they're not going to show. What's the Warren Mitchell series? Till Death Do Us Part. I heard someone.
Death Do Us Part. Yeah.
I think it was Tassob haven't really watched either programs. They didn't really understand it. They thought Till Death Do Us Part and what's the sequel series?
Oh God, yeah. That was
It's
more of a
Till
'90s
Death-
one, wasn't it?
Yeah, Till Death Do Us Part, and In Sickness and Health.
That's it.
That was the other one. I can't remember which
Yeah.
way round they were. Yeah, what it was they were getting those mixed up with Love Thy Neighbour.
No, yes, that's different.
Yeah, because in Love Thy Neighbour, because I should imagine that wasn't on there either. Has anyone ever seen Love Thy Neighbour?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, basically, the plot of Love Thy Neighbour is that you've got a racist who has a black guy move in next door,
Yeah, that's pretty much
and
it.
it's like racism's thrown everywhere.
But the thing is that the black guy gives it back to the white guy in the show. If you watch it, if you do actually watch it.
I think doesn't the white guy usually have his missus conspiring against him or something? Doesn't she? I think
Yeah,
that's how it
she's always
works.
always having a go at him and telling him off. Yeah.
Yeah, like
he's always-
taking the
yeah.
black guy's side.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
But
He invites him round for dinner one day, and yeah, all goes wrong. Yeah.
But In Sickness and in Health is like the Al Murray thing, isn't it? Where he like absolutely hates his audience, doesn't he?
Yes, it's
Warren Mitchell has brackets around his name.
yes. He was he basically called his audience thick.
Yeah. Because that's why I hate Al Murray, because he just has utter contempt for his audience, doesn't he?
Yeah, can you imagine making money off people and then spitting back in there?
Yeah, and you're basically spitting in their face while you're lecturing them.
Yeah, I saw like a poster at a bus stop with that BritBox thing, whatever it was. No, I hadn't really paid much attention, and then now you mentioned it, I understand where that reference comes from, what it was for. So.
I'll tell you. Funny enough, I see in 8.5 Ottoman the box set was on sale in Asda.
That's an old series, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't think
Yeah.
that'd show up, because that's like transphobic and transracial and everything, isn't it? Because what's his name? Used to play the Indian guy was played by a white man, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. But I've also noticed though, perhaps they've edited the series down, because I know there's episodes of Only Fools and Horses where there's some what you would call racist language used in it. And when
Was
you-
it like Mickey and
what-
Jevon? He used to always take the mick out of them, didn't he?
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And they edit it down, so it's not actually in the program anymore. So is it a heavily edited version of what we've seen before? Do you know what I mean?
It most probably is. I can't
Yeah.
imagine it's like a director's cut with extra footage, is it?
No. extra racism. Yeah.
So we've discussed BritBox. Is it any other? Did you want to discuss any more about the Nick Griffin capstan?
I mean, is there much to say? Bloke who's been out of politics for 15 years says something unexpected, so we say his name again.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have fucked it up on question time, you prick. Moving on.
Yeah.
Like, that's basic. You know what I mean?
Playing the dying fly on question time probably wasn't one of his better moments, was it?
Yeah. That's what literally the only thing I've ever heard anyone, including nationalists, say about Nick Griffin is shouldn't that fucking question time appearance. Appearance.
I mean, imagine taking body blows from fucking Bonnie Greer, who says like blacks have always been in England and fucking shit like that. I mean, Jesus.
Oh dear. I've got nothing to say about that. So apart from that, any other business, everybody?
Nope.
No, not really.
Flash, where
Okay.
can we find you?
Yeah, if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at @theflashart69, and if you want to find me on YouTube, you can find me there. My name's Lord Flashart. If you want to give me a subscription, you can.
Thursday night we've got 14 words, me and Zero. This week we've got a guest. We've got someone who was gang stalked. Cassandra something or other. I can't remember her name. That should be quite fun. Don't forget, I'm in the links below. You've got BitChutes, YouTube, Twitter links. and everything else. So, night all.
Good night.
Night all.
No.